Hi coders! Welcome to CS Time channel, a beginner coders friendly channel. In this video, I will talk about how to repeat instruction using for loop in pseudocode and Java. Stay tuned! For loop is one type of looping techniques in programming. It is used to iterate a part of program several times. You use for loop when the number of iteration is fixed. So, what is the problem without for loop in programming? For example, you are asked to display or print hello 3 times. Then your program might look like the following. You will have to print hello for the first time, and then again you will have to print hello for the second time, and then again you will have to print hello for the third time. Imagine what will happen if you are asked to do it 100 times, 1000 times, or even more. It must be a very tedious or troublesome job. For loop consists of 4 parts. The first one is initialization. It is the initial condition which is executed once when the loop starts. Here, we can initialize the variable or we can use an already initialized variable. And then condition. It is the condition or the second condition which is executed each time to test the condition of the loop. It continues execution until the condition is false. And then increment or decrement. It increments or decrements the variable value. Finally, statement. The statement of the loop is executed each time until the second condition is false. Now let's see the syntax of for loop. The first line is the for, along with the initialization, condition, and increment or decrement. Inside for loop block, we inserted the code that you want to execute or you want to repeat. For example is like this. You are asked to write a program to display hello 10 times. In pseudocode, it will look like the following. You will have to initialize it. In this case, I use x as my variable. So I initialize it x with 1. So my starting point is 1. And then the conditions to stop is 10. So I will have to make my program to do the looping start from 1 until 10. And then here inside will be the program that I want to loop. And every time the program display, I will have to increase the increment variable which is x by 1. So the program will look like this. The program will be read start from this. The x initialize it with 1. Once initialize it with 1, check the condition. Is the condition true? Yes, 1 less than equal to 10. Correct. Then hello will be executed. Once it reach the for loop end, it will go back to the for and increase the variable by 1. So now our variable become 2. Check again. 2 less than 10. True. Since it is true, hello will be executed one more time. And then read the closing for, it will take it back to this and increase the x by 1. So it becomes 3. And then it will check 3 less than equal to 10. Because it is true, hello will be executed one more time. It will keep on doing so until x equal to 10. When x equal to 10, which is 10 less than equal to 10, true. Execute it one more time. Increase again by 1. 11 less than equal to 10, false. Once it's false, quit the looping. Now let's see the second example. Second example is this. Write a program to display number 1 up to 10. If you see here, the job is actually the same. You will have to do the same job. Display number. First, you display number 1, and then you display number 2, number 3. So, it's repeating job 10 times. Program will look like this in pseudocode. So, we start it from 1. We will stop the condition in 10. We will execute the code inside. Once we execute, we increase it by 1. We increase it by 1. Again, we do the same. We check again the condition, and then we increase it again by 1, and so on. Second example, you are asked to display the number. So instead of writing hello under print, we will print the number, which is the X itself. We want to display this 1 up to 10 here. Now let's convert the pseudocode to Java programming. In this case, I'm using Eclipse. So to save the time, I copy the program. Okay, here it is, the block of for loop. We start the initialization from 1, and then we stop when x reach 10, and we will increase x by 1 every time we execute the block of code inside the for loop. So here is the result. Okay, we have hello word display 10 times. For the second pseudocode, we want to display number from 1 up to 10. So basically it's the same. We want to do the looping 10 times, and we will increase x by 1 every time we execute the code. However, the code to execute, instead of word like this, we want to display number from 1 up to 10. Since our variable x contain number that keep on changing from 1 up to 10, so we will just simply use the x there. Now here is the result. We have the number display from 1 up to 10. Now let's see the flowchart of for loop. The flowchart will look like the following. The initialization represented by rectangle, and then condition. We check whether the condition fulfilled or not, and then if the condition is not fulfilled, then quit the looping, or false. If the condition is fulfilled or true, we enter the looping. Once we enter the looping, we execute the increment. We execute in increment, and then we need to check again whether the condition still fulfilled or not. That's why I go back there. So let's see the pseudocode, previous pseudocode look like. So it's here. So we initialize it by 1. Okay. Once we initialize it by 1, we check whether 1 less than 10, in this case, is true. Since it's true, then the statement of hello will be executed. So it will display hello. Once we are done executing, we increase it by 1. So it will read this. X, previously 1, increased by 1, become 2. Go back to this. We read this one. It means it will go back to this. Now it will check 2 less than equal to 10. Since it is true, then execute it again, hello, for another time. And then increase again by 1. Check again. 3 less than 10. Correct, then, or true, then the statement will be repeat again. Hello will be displayed again. Increase again by 1 until when x become 10, 10 less than equal to 10, true, still executed, increase by 1. Now x become 11. 11 less than 10, false. When it false, quit the looping. Possible to have for loop inside for loop? The answer is yes. We call it nested loop. Nested loop is for loop inside for loop. You use it when displaying multidimensional data. Now let's see the syntax of nested loop. We started with the outer block of for loop. The same with the previous syntax: initialization, condition, increment or decrement, and then closing for loop. And then inside we have inner block of for loop. Here is the inner block of for loop with exactly the same syntax as outer: initialization, condition, increment or decrement. And then the code that you want to be executed should be inside of the inner for loop. So how does it works? At first, it will read the first initialization here and then check is it the condition fulfilled. If it's true, it will enter the inner for loop. Again, it will initialize. For this case, we need to have two different kind of variables. Say for example, you have x here, you have y here. So if our x, for example, start from 1 and then check the condition is less than 10, for example, like that, less than 10, then enter the inner loop. The y, for example, start from 1 and then the condition, for example, less than 5 here, then x1, y equal to 1, y less than 5, the condition fulfilled, which is true, then the statement inside will be executed. Once the statement inside executed, then it will go back to check the condition. Increase the increment, increase the variable by 1, and then check the condition, true or false. If it's true, execute again, increase again by 1, check again the condition until the condition is false. Once the condition is false, then we'll be quit here and then go to the outer loop and then go back to the condition. Increase x by 1, become 2, and then check the condition, 2 less than 10. If yes, then go back to this. Now we will run y start from 1 again, and then again check the condition. If it's true, execute. We complete all the looping in the inner loop. Once it's fulfilled, quit, go back to the outer loop, and then increase the variable by 1 and then check again the condition, and so on and so forth. Let's see the example. You are asked to create a program with the following output. As I mentioned earlier, that nested for loop is used when displaying multi-dimensional data. If you take a look at this will be printed by going to the first row, print 1 time asterisk, and then go to the second row, print the first asterisk, and then print the second asterisk. Once it's done, go to the third line, print the first asterisk, and then second asterisk, and then third asterisk, and so on and so forth. So here we need nested loop because we are using multi-dimensional data. So if I call it as row, the first one, then the one that like y-axis here, I call it as column, the pseudocode will look like the following. So the row will start it from row 1 up to row 4 because we have 4 rows. Okay, so the initialization we start from 1 and then the stop or the condition to stop is 4, and then we will increase it by 1 each time we are done executing the statement or the code to be executed. And then once we are here, then we want to print the asterisk. How many times? It depends to the row. If we are in the first row, we print it 1 time. If we are in the second row, we print it 2 times. So it means there is another loop inside loop. We can call it as column in this case. So we started from 1. What's the condition to stop? The condition to stop here is the row number itself. If we are in the first row, we want to print it only 1 asterisk. If we are in the second row, we want to print it 2 times. So it means the condition to stop is the row itself. So we use this here. What to print is the asterisk, like that. So here is the pseudocode will look like. And then to go to the next line, we need to print the space, empty space, to bring it to the next line. Now let's see the nested for loop in Java. Okay, now let's convert the pseudocode to programming language, Java. And to save the time, again, I paste it here. Okay, here is our nested loop. So the first one, the row, to print the first asterisk, start from 1 up to 4 because we want it 4 lines, and then it will increase by 1 every time it's execute the inner loop, which is this one, the inner loop. I use variable column to print the asterisk in each row. Okay, so the number of the asterisk that will be printed in each row, it depends to the row. If the row is row number 1, then the number of asterisk will be printed is only 1. If the number of the row is 2, then the asterisk number that will be printed is also 2, and so on. So the position to stop, condition to stop, is of course the row, and then we want to increase it by 1 every time it's execute the asterisk which is displayed. And then we need the to print also the space here, and I'm using println to change the line, so it's function like enter. So you can also modify a bit to make the row number more flexible. Here I will print it like that. So now the number of row, we hold it under row variable, so it means we need a new variable for that. Okay, row 1. Okay, that's the result. To strengthen your understanding, I am giving you one exercise. Here is the exercise. You are asked to create a program with the following output. Using the knowledge and the skill that I gave you just now, I hope you can try to write the pseudocode as well as convert it to Java in your own computer. Feel free to share your answer and put it in the comment. Well, if you learned something from this video, please subscribe and like for more videos. Thanks for watching.